Yeah. All I need is one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, where I watch shit so you don't have to. And today I'm here to talk about Zack Snyder's new film, Army of the Dead, which premiered today. I believe it's May 21st on Netflix. I just finished watching it. I kind of had to spread it out over the day for a number of reasons, just because there was a lot going on today. But it's also 2.5 hours long, which is I think by most, I think we'd all be in agreement that 2.5 hours long is much more time than is usually needed for a zombie movie. But before I talk about this movie, I want to kind of circle back to some comments that I've made on other movies that are of similar types. So, when I talked about Mortal Kombat, when I talked about Godzilla versus Kong, I really dragged those movies through the mud. And people pop up, and not to me directly, but people will pop up and go, what were you expecting? And I have a video called What Were You Expecting that is phenomenal. If you're watching this and you haven't seen that video, watch it right now. But, well, no, watch it after you finish this one, then watch it. But, they go, well, what were you expecting? And the idea is that people who don't like those kind of movies are coming in expecting, Casablanca or something, and it's like, oh wow, this isn't good. This doesn't have your usual top of the line acting and cinematography and all of those things, right? And that's not what I come into these movies for. I come to these movies hoping that it's not stupid enough in all those ways to distract me from just being able to let the action wash over me, So Godzilla versus Kong, Mortal Kombat. It was called Godzilla versus Kong, right? I don't remember that stupid fucking movie. Both of those movies were lacking in all those other departments, right? So you can have good action, but if the dialogue is so bad that it takes me out of it, if the acting is so bad that it takes me out of it, if the action scenes themselves aren't any good, if the storyline is replete with plot holes, or it's real dumb, or it's characters are constantly making ridiculous decisions, or things just aren't connecting. When you have all of these errors, it distracts me and pulls me out of it from enjoying the movie. So, for people to go well, what were you expecting? I was expecting someone to care. I was expecting someone to try to make a good movie. Mortal Kombat didn't even try. They just said, we're gonna grab whatever actors we can find from wherever we can find them. We're going to give them this horrible script with this horrible dialogue. We're not even going to try to make them do a good job of it. And we're going to call them Scorpion and Sub-Zero and Liu Kang and people. That's good enough. That they made a good enough. They made they did the bare minimum with that movie. It didn't have enough action sequences. It wasn't violent. It was violent, but you didn't get enough of that. The best stuff was in the trailer, yada, yada, yada. The reason I'm mentioning that is because I feel like people are probably going to look at me reviewing this movie and go, he's not the guy to review this because he always shits on, action movies and stuff like that. Well, I'm here to tell you this movie is so fucking cool that I have no intention of shitting on it at all. This movie did everything right. So it as opposed to everything I said about the other two movies that I just mentioned, we got some good actors in here. Batista fucking killed it, man. But I'm not saying fucking killed in the sense of Batista should get an Oscar nomination for his role in this zombie movie. No. But Batista was a strong lead. He's a good action star, which we've seen him doing this in several other movies at this point. He actually does a good job of acting. He can do a good job of balancing seriousness with a little humor, as we've seen in, he does a little bit more of the humor in Guardians of the Galaxy, but, we've seen what he can do. He's a very serviceable lead for something like this. Tig Notaro shows up in this and is funny. Omari Hardwick's in this from, you guys probably know him from Power. I've never seen Power, but I know he's in it. He kind of feels like a knockoff Michael Jai White in this, oh, we really wanted Michael Jai White, but he was unavailable, so let's get Omari Hardwick. And there's a couple of other recognizable faces here and there. Theo Rossi, who played Juice on Sons of Anarchy, is in this. I can't really think of anyone else, but they give it a good cast. The dialogue is perfectly fine. Nothing that I'm sitting there wow, that was really stupid, or this is a boring conversation. The plot is interesting. It's unique. They do some cool stuff here. They kind of flip the zombie genre on its head. A lot of the stuff that you come to expect out of zombie, vampire, stuff like that, there's rules, right? The only thing off the top of my head that still exists as a zombie rule in this is you got to shoot them in the head or bash their brains in, whatever. It's got to be a brain thing. Everything else, and I don't want to spoil it because there's so much cool shit that happens in this movie that I don't want to spoil it. But like, this is that movie where, like, if you are just looking for a good popcorn movie, this is like the pinnacle of good popcorn movies. Like, this isn't something where it's like, oh, this is gonna be, get an Oscar nomination. And it was also like an action movie. It's not like that. But it's one of those things where it's like, this has replay value. This is incredibly fun to watch. It's insanely violent. The action sequences are awesome. And back to the violence, it's over the top, graphic, grotesque gore, which is, I'm totally going to be on board with that. Again, as long as you don't mess up everything else. Everything else doesn't have to be good. It just has to be serviceable. Everything was serviceable here. There wasn't anything for me to complain about. And I'm taking notes because I'm preparing. I'm looking at this as the way I'm looking at everything else. But when it comes to zombie movies, again, I'm not looking too deeply into anything. I just want to be entertained, and I don't want to be taken out of it because of a whole bunch of a lack of effort that the creators put into all these other various aspects. Nothing took me out of it. Everything flowed well. It's 2.5 hours long. I can't think of anything that I feel like they should take out. Like, I thought it was all really good. I did not need to look at my watch. Granted, I had to stop it multiple times, but I did not want to. Like, I wish I could have sat and watched it for the 2.5 hours straight, and I didn't have to keep stopping it over and over because it was so much fun. Like, this is how you make, and when I say a dumb movie, I don't mean that in an insulting way. I just mean something that's not highbrow, something that's just, it just appeals to your base levels of action and excitement and just gets you riled up. Oh shit, that's crazy, that kind of stuff, but this is how you do that right. And I am shocked that I'm heaping this much praise upon a Zack Snyder film, but this is the best Zack Snyder film to me. Like, I like this more than I like 300. I definitely like it better than anything he did for DC. This is, I have to revisit the Watchmen movie to see, but like, because the Watchmen movies, we're talking an entirely different type of film right there. So I'd have to revisit the Watchmen movie, but man, this movie fucking rocked, dude. Like, I'm like having a good time watching this. I'm like, oh shit, that was crazy. Like, watching all these over the top things, all the changes they made to the zombie genre. The plot line was interesting. Like, it wasn't just a simple like, hey, we're gonna do this heist. They had like a whole lot of other different things going on. And then again, a heist and a zombie, that's a unique enough in and of itself, right? Like, how many zombie movies that are also heist movies? Like, not many, right? But they have all different classifications of zombies in this. There's just so much. They do all kinds of things that, like, man, it's hard to talk about this without spoiling it. But they do things that I know that people who are bigger fans of the zombie genre than myself have been kind of asking for in their zombie movies. Like, hey, can we, like, it'd be cool if we could have blank. It'd be cool if we could have blank. And there's two things in particular that I've heard kind of consistently in the, I don't want to say the zombie community, but in the community of people who really love zombie films, that this movie does. And I'm telling you, man, I was pretty impressed. So I can't really drag this review out. I'd like to talk about this more. And if you watched it, let me know in the comments what you liked, what you didn't like, and we could talk about it, because I don't want to spoil this, because again, the purpose of the channel is to tell you whether or not you should watch something if it's not something I'm doing episode by episode coverage of. But I gotta wrap it up because there's not really much else I could say without spoiling. But I will say, one, let me know in the comments what you thought. Let's get a dialogue going. I do want to talk about this. I wish I could talk about it more. Two, this had none of the problems of the previous two action movies I dragged, Mortal Kombat and Godzilla vs. Kong. This had none of those problems, and it was vastly superior in the things that Godzilla and Kong and Mortal Kombat did right, which was like basically just the action stuff. Vastly superior. Really fun, no filler, over-the-top violence, laughter at times, excitement, scariness. It has it all. It has it all. So highly recommend on this one. Like on the scale of 1 to 10, as far as like, movies in general, I'm not gonna be sitting here like, oh, this is a 10. But like for this type of movie, like one of those things where it's like, it's Friday night, you just want to hang out, you just want to watch something that's fun, and you don't want to have, you don't want to have to think too much, but you don't, it's not so dumb that it takes you out of it. This is like the pinnacle of that. Like this is an elite popcorn action flick. And this is also something too, I want a sequel. I want a prequel because I have questions about some of the stuff that I saw in this. I want a prequel. Like, that's how interesting the plot was at times, that it had aspects of it that I'm like, I want to know more about this. How many times do you see an action movie or a zombie movie or something like that, and you walk away completely satisfied and wish that you could find out more, wish you could visit that world again? That's what this did. So, 2 huge thumbs up. Watch this fucking movie. Now, if you're somebody who doesn't like action movies like that, then, and zombie movies aren't for you, this isn't going to be anything different. I'm not going to be like, hey, if you hate zombie movies, this one's way better. Like, it's nothing like that. But this is one of those things where it's like, if you're somebody who's watching Godzilla versus Kong, you watching that kind of trash, watch this shit. If you watching bullshit like Mortal Kombat, you're like, oh, that was fun. If you like Mortal Kombat, this is going to blow your head off. Like, this is 8 million times better than Mortal Kombat. I'm gonna say 8,000. I'm like, that's not good enough. 8 million times better than Mortal Kombat. Far and away the best action movie released so far this year. Far and away the most entertaining and exciting movie released this year. And I can tell this would be one of my favorites. Like, kind of like, I liken it to Blade. Blade was one where, when I went to go see Blade, I was like, oh, this is stupid. I don't know if I want to see this dumb shit. And I was like, and when I walked out of it, I was like, please give me more of that several times over. Like, it was so fun and it was so cool. And this feels like zombie Blade for me. Like, this is, I think 28 Days Later I really liked, but 28 Days Later was not as fun as this. So, like, this is like my Blade for zombie movies. So, yeah, 2 thumbs up. I absolutely love this. Like, I would not be opposed to watching it again right now. Like, that's how much I liked it. So much fun. So my hat's off to Zack Snyder, man. He pulled it off. And this is a guy that I have had no issues just dogging out left and right. And I got nothing for him on this one. Apologies for doubting. Now I don't want to say doubting him because I figured he could pull this off. But when I looked and saw that 2.5 hour runtime, I'm like, boy, he about to fuck this up. But my apologies for even thinking that, because you knocked this one out of the park, Zach. So give me a sequel, give me a prequel. I'm here, first day to watch it. You guys watch this movie this weekend. Peace.